Um,
All right, I'm getting that chat. It says chat. The chat is disabled according to Rachel.
Uh, so the attendees will have to use the Q&A section for that. Let me see if I can just enable the chat for them.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, I think I enabled it for them as well.
Okay.
Rachel, can you try now? And then we can start. You can post your, it can be on chat or it can be on Q&A as well. Yeah,
Excellent.
awesome. Yeah, I think we are set.
So I will mind the Q&A and the chat. All right. I'm 11:02, so I'm going to get started.
Yeah, all right.
Hi everyone. Thanks for joining. My name is Heidi Robbie. I am the owner of Authentic Expression LLC, an AAC centric practice in the Chicago suburbs, and I'm really excited today to be hosting Avaz and learning about some of the new iOS features because there have been some massive updates. So we're going to start out with Narayan talking about the history of Avaz and giving a little bit of an overview and background. And then Kitana is going to take over and give us some of the nitty gritty and dive into some of the details. So a few administrative things. We have the chat enabled, so if you have questions, throw them in the chat. You can also have the Q&A. I personally find the chat easier, but we have both options. I have both of them open. And also, if we need to, we can also like pause them if we need to. So you can also raise your hand, and we're hoping to have it be pretty interactive. And with that, I will let Narayan take over.
Yes. Thank you so much, Heidi. Uh, Good morning, everyone. My name is Narayan, and I'm the CEO of Avaz. Welcome to this session. Thank you so much, Heidi, for hosting and doing the introductions. Um, so, in today's session, we, like Heidi said, we wanted to kind of give you a kind of like a demo and a walkthrough of some of the features that we've rolled out just recently, and also take this opportunity to give you some background about what how we thought about building those features, what was kind of the feedback that we got. So we want to kind of give you some background story to that as well, and deep dive into some of the features. So to just to begin with and set context, mm, at Avas, we really kind of want to focus on empowering AAC users to communicate and to build meaningful connections. And that's kind of like the core essence of communication. And so our journey started almost 15 years ago. So Avaz, the word Avaz means voice in the Hindi language. So 15 years ago, this is Rohit who is using probably one of the first working versions of Avaz, which was kind of like this was pre-iPad. So we had built this entire hardware in the office, and then you try to mount it on a wheelchair, etc. And this is Rohit, who's using it in Chennai in India. And now we have users around the world. And this is Drew, who is non-speaking and autistic. She uses Avaz to communicate. And you can see that we've kind of graduated from building our own hardware devices to building a robust AAC solution, software solution. And we offer a pretty diverse range of the product is works across platforms. So it can work. I'm just trying to search for my Android phone. So it can work on an Android phone. I'm sure Heidi has one. And then iPads, and very soon we will be working on Windows as well. Again, Android, any Android screen devices can be small, large, iPads, iPhones, all of that. So it's the same product that you get to experience across different screen sizes, different platforms. And our given that we've been around for quite some time, we've been able to make an impact around the world. Almost 4.5 million words get communicated every month on Avaz. So those are kind of like 4.5 million ideas that have gotten unlocked every month on Avaz. And this is across the world in different languages. So so we started off, while we started from India, we have a lot of customers in North America, different school districts in the US, AT centers, and then even in Canada. And in Europe, we have kind of different languages that we support as well. So French, Danish. So over these years, we've impacted over 200,000 lives in multiple different countries. And we support multiple languages, so English, French, Swedish, Danish, with Vietnamese, a bunch of Indian languages, and we will hopefully have Dutch, Italian, and German also in the pipeline. So hopefully soon that we'll be releasing them as well. So that's kind of like a very quick background history of ours. And uh, my marketing team has asked me to ensure that I put these links up right at the start of the presentation so that if people want to go search for the App Store, Avaz on the App Store. So these are kind of, this is what you need to search for. So you can search for Avaz AAC on iPhone or on the Play Store. This is how the screen would look like. So links to the App Store are here. And in terms of pricing, uh, we currently offer Avaz at $200 for a lifetime version, $10 a month, and $100 a year. Monthly subscriptions are available as well. So there is a lifetime option. There are also options for like subscription. So it's based on uh, the customer's use case. They can use what they want. Um, Also, if you are a professional who's working with clients or working with students, please do reach out for us and we'd be happy to kind of provide an extended evaluation copy. So just drop us a note with the subject line evaluation copy, and we'd be happy to kind of respond to you and kind of figure out your use case, figure out how we can help you and kind of set it up for you as well. Right. So that's just kind of like some of those initial parts about information of the app, pricing, etc. What I wanted to kind of give you some background before I hand it over to Keithna to do a deep dive is talk about one very specific thing and how we started kind of looking at some of the new developments in Navas as well. So and now exactly a couple of years ago, we were at ETIA in 2023. And around that time, we started collating a lot of ideas from speech therapists, experts in the field about how do they visualize technology changing this space of AAC itself. And we kind of we gave them post-its, we gave them pens, and people came up with very different ideas. And so we collated a bunch of them. We did our own internal brainstorming. We spoke to a few AAC users. So there's kind of like we were collating a large set of ideas and trying to understand what are customers, be it AAC users or what are speech therapists who are communication partners, parents, what are they kind of like really looking at, um, or what are the kind of core problems that we should be solving as a product development company? And so one of the and then we got to kind of start working on some of these ideas as well, right? So we had a bunch of these ideas that came up, and a few of them bubbled up, and we thought we should get started very quickly. And one of the main themes that came out was that AAC must be authentic, right? And this is something, and maybe this is a bit, if you've already seen some of the features of ours, this is something that we are very strong believers in, is that the AAC system must reflect in some ways the person who's using it. And you are hearing me with different kind of intonations. You are hearing me with if I'm excited about something or if I'm a little sad about something, you can see the tone change. Whereas we've never heard an AAC user being extremely excited through their AAC system or being sarcastic through the AAC system. So that was one very fundamental uh, piece that we thought was missing in AAC systems, and that came out through different conversations as well, was that the voice did not reflect the user's expressions. So that led us to build one of the kind of a very sort of a path-breaking feature called expressive tones, wherein with a click of a button, Avaz can help you express sarcasm, anger, fear, all the different kinds of emotions. And so I'm going to just give you I play a short clip of one of the users, and this just came in yesterday, and it's very topical as well. So this is just one of the users and how they've used the expressive tones. So I hope you're able to hear this as well.
In the city of Los Angeles, there was fire I saw in the news.
In the city of Los Angeles, there was fire I saw in the news. It was terrible fire. Homes were destroyed by the raging fire.
Were you able to hear that? If you can give me a thumbs up, or were you able to hear that? Okay. Okay. So you could see how so as soon as they changed the tone to something more fearful, the entire kind of communication changed there. And this is something that we've seen this with a lot of different AAC users as well, is that they're able to use that particular tone to communicate their emotion at that point in time. And this came through even in our kind of beta testing. We did a pretty we did a few months of beta testing around it, and this was not only to speech therapists and special educators, but we also shared it with a lot of parents, a lot of AAC users, and oops, I want to play this again. I'm sorry. So we shared it with a lot of parents, existing users, AAC users as well. And we got a lot of positive feedback around this. So this is one of the parents who had shared this, was that the child was really excited and kept on using the angry emoji. Or people were talking about how they really found the sarcastic tone, and these are tones that again Keetna will show you when she demos the product as well, was that sarcasm as a tone was something that teenagers really enjoyed, or anger, expressing that anger emotion in while they're talking as well, right? So this entire kind of why I wanted to talk about this was that this set the ground for not only building of what kind of like building towards an authentic way of communication, but also helped us like, okay, this is the kind of feedback that we want to collate, and then these are the problems that we want to solve. So this is kind of like core to the Avaz design, like the product design team itself. And we want to really understand and source the problems and then figure out creative solutions. And we wanted it to be like easy to use as well. So that's kind of like a background to one of the very kind of key features that Avaz has right now. And leading on to this was that one was that you can make AAC with all this AI and the new whatever you talk about, Chat GPT, LLMs, etc. Uh, at the end of the day, we want technology to work for us, right? We want technology um, to make AAC more meaningful, more efficient, so that people can actually communicate and build those relationships. And we don't want it to be used as just as something like a kind of like a lipstick on a pig. We want it to be used in a way there where it's actually useful and it's actually making a difference for the AAC user. And that's kind of like the core philosophy as well. So we were kind of looking at how do you make vocabulary that we put on the app, how do you think about that, and how do you make it more meaningful and efficient? How do you ensure that the communication partner is able to also model quickly? How do you ensure that the child is able to kind of feel motivated by their AAC system, to use their AAC system as well? So those were some of the thought processes where we started solving this problem of how to make AAC much more meaningful and efficient. And these are kind of like almost two very different challenges to solve for as well. And I'm going to hand it over to Kirtana to kind of like talk about um, and give you a demo of the product as well. So I've set the context and she'll give you the demo of the product as well as to how we went about designing this entire kind of like vocabulary, and also giving you kind of live examples of what the vocabulary's capabilities are. So I'm gonna just stop sharing and hand it over to Keith now. Bye. And while Kitna is setting up, if there are any questions, I would be happy to answer that as well.
I haven't seen any questions, but I just want to echo that the being able to set the tone is a really great feature. Like, so many of my clients are sarcastic, and for them to be able to express that or yell like without using externalizing behaviors is amazing.
Yeah. And we were very surprised that we thought sarcastic was a very complex sort of an emotion, but we were surprised how even after we released, we got a lot of feedback that even young, very young children also enjoying that rolling eye effect with that sarcastic tone. So it was very it was revealing for us also that people use what is provided to them, and till we do not provide, often we will not know what that potential can look like. So expressive tones was revealing in a lot of ways like that. So Heidi, just to show you currently what you see is the home screen of 96 pictures on the grid, and we have grid sizes ranging from 15 to over 117 pictures. For the purpose of the demo, I'll be showing you 96. And just to start off, I wanted to start off with constructing a sentence for you.
I am very excited about going to Winter Wonderland at Navy Pier, where I will get to eat my favorite Italian beef sandwich and Garrett's popcorn.
And because I'm excited to do this, I'll use the excited tone.
I am very excited about going to Winter Wonderland at Navy Pier, where I will get to eat my favorite Italian beef sandwich and Garrett's popcorn.
So, Heidi, can you just take a rough guess as to how many words were there in this sentence? Just
Wasn't counting. It's like 10.
So there were around 21 words in this sentence, and that was how fast I could construct it. And one of the biggest things for us in this update was also to make this navigation in an AAC really fast. And that was one of the most important things for us, because not only for independent communicators, this can make a lot of difference. Making richer sentences will not become so tedious for them, and it makes it much more faster for them to move from one topic of conversation to another. But at the same time, the features with navigation directly impact the experience for even the communication partners. So if you just to walk back, you would have seen that there were several features that helped me have this really fast navigation. Things like eat, taking me directly to food, which is the jump to page feature itself. And even things like auto back. So for example, if you see here, a folder called short words, any selection that I do will automatically take me one step ahead. Then there were features like linking another topic because it's relevant to this. So these features help me navigate really quickly. And the most important is also the frozen row at the bottom. So this is one of the unique features that we launched in Avaz in the recent update, because we felt that having that frozen row wherever I go, so even if I'm in body parts or even if I'm in any other place, the frozen row will always stay with me, which makes it much more faster and easier for me to communicate. Just so that makes that process itself faster. And if you see all the words that you will see here, all the categories you will see here in the frozen row are the most frequently used during daily communication. So you have topics like actions, people, feelings, places, even things like quantity, which can really help you in any sort of topic of conversation itself. And one of the ideas behind that was also that we constantly see communication partners. So if you talk about communication partners, often we say that a category based vocabulary makes it really easy for them, right? Because they already know that go is an action or eat is an action word, while hot or cold might be a descriptive. So for them, category based makes it really easy. But at the same time, having to navigate out of a folder, remembering the path to it, and by the time they reach maybe 2 or 3 taps just to reach that action folder or reach that feeling folder, often there's a lot of things that happen in that background, right? When you're trying to communicate with the partner, the communicator might just lose interest. They might start doing something else. There's a constant sense of anxiety for the partner to be able to quickly go there. Then also the problem of, do I remember where this is? And all of that. So the navigational hindrance itself makes it very complicated and reduces the number of opportunities you would otherwise have to model something. While when you see from the perspective of the communicator themselves, for them, it's more about having that opportunity to see that word being used or modeled more and more number of times. And at the same time, you would want that motor plan aspect to come into picture, which actually is beneficial for the communicator. So what we did with the frozen row was try and actually club both these scenarios. So how can I make it so easy for the communicative partner that they are able to navigate to these categories much more faster and have more opportunities to model these words, rather than force them to go to a point where they end up creating all of these topic folders, because that is what we usually end up seeing in practice, that you have these parents who start creating their own folders for any topic they want because they just don't know how to navigate in and out, and they think it's too much to do. So how can we take them from that point and have them really easily able to model these words while using AAC with their communicator? And at the same time, so the frozen row allows that navigation, and at the same time, because it's the same folder wherever I go, so even if it is food, my actions will look the same. Even if I go to say transport, my actions will look the same. So it ensures that the motor plan is the same. So that benefits the communicator a lot, and that extra effort from the partner is not required in maintaining this motor plan. So it's sort of tying both those worlds to give the best output and help both the communication partner as well as the communicator in learning or acquiring this language too. So not only does the frozen row, so like I just showed you, the frozen row not only stays with you wherever you go, it also has the ability to have a custom view. So for example, when I showed you food and I went to actions, here my actions were specific to food related things. So I have things like sharing, want, drink, eat, taste, pour, hate, like, love, again, things that can be very powerful during meal times. And at the same time, when I go to transport, here when I go to actions, I have words like go, stop, come, wait, stay, leave. and stuff like that. So this makes it much more contextually relevant to the topic that you're talking about. So every page set that you create, it can be a topic folder, it can be anything. You can customize the frozen row itself. So this reduces that cognitive load onto scanning a whole range, because otherwise the actions would be a whole bunch of 96 words, which can be, sometimes it can be really overwhelming too. So what that customized view does is reduce that cognitive load, and it makes it much more easier to introduce words that are relevant to the topic, but it is something that you're targeting to teach to that child. So these are few of the things that the frozen row is able to do. Also, one of the things that when we talk about partners, trying to model AAC, one of the most frequent mistakes that we see is over customization, especially in India. Coming from the point that we have a lot of parents who work directly with their children, who do not have access to trained professionals, or do not get that amount of time to have that conversation with trained professionals. There's a dearth of trained professionals itself. So we end up seeing that there's a lot of onus that lies on to the parent. And when that happens, there's a lot of customization also that happens, right? And when you say that they start over customizing the AAC, often it's also about just copy pasting folders. Wherever they find that this can be interesting or this can be relevant, I'll just copy that folder, paste it somewhere else, and then move around the words, make it much more apt for what they want. So that, again, it's the same thing that they're looking for, ease in navigation itself. So how do you solve that, right? So one of the most obvious ones are linking a page set. So to be able to link a folder so that you can avoid that whole copy paste or over customization, and then you can have the same folder to appear in different locations in different contexts. But then we were thinking a little more as to why they were doing this, right? So what is the behavior? Why do they think that they have to copy paste a folder? Not only it's navigation, but when you talk to them, we eventually realized that it was also about relevance. It was about contextual relevance. So though they might copy paste something like probably size or color or anything like that, which is common across different scenarios, but then you will end up seeing that the type of words that you would find in that folder are very, very different, right? And it's because sometimes the colors can be very different for maybe in an art class or a craft thing, and it can be completely different somewhere else. So drilling down to what that value for them was, that contextual relevance, what we did is that we had the ability to have this view differently, even in the linked folder, which not only helped them in accessing that folder quickly, but also with what type of words you're seeing. So just to give you an example, so even if you say like a topic like size, right? So if I'm in a clothes folder, when I go to size, what are the type of words I would expect? It would be things like sizes, like XL, XXL, XS, and stuff like that. It can be skinny, it can be tight, loose, and all these words which are very specific to clothes. But at the same time, these are not the words that I would really use when I'm talking about animals. So if I'm in animals and I want to talk about size, here the type of words that I would want would be things like gigantic, big, enormous, humongous. It can also be teeny. So if I'm talking about maybe Tyrannosaurus Rex, I can say it's really enormous. Or if I'm talking about something like a hamster, I can easily say that it's really tiny. So it's the same size folder, but with the ability to set a different view, I have actually made this so contextually relevant to the topic that I'm talking about that it just increases the value of this folder. Otherwise, a size folder is something that would be at least 2 or 3 tabs down. So even if I go, I'll have to go to home, I'll have to go to describe, and then I'll have to go to size. So here you see that you have all the words, but then in cloth, it had only the words that they wanted. So that sort of, improves that experience. So even if it's a really deep inside sort of a folder, like 3 levels down, the linking will help you with reducing that navigation. Additionally, you have customized views, which almost acts like a predictive system of sorts, so that you can even introduce that vocabulary much easily for the child. So that is something that the link folder does. So apart from these features that help with navigation itself, there are other things that also help in a partner successfully modeling. A few of the
Kirtana,
things that we noticed.
Kirtana, just pause, and I think you should answer
Sorry.
this question. Put a pin on wherever you're wherever you are in.
Yeah.
So Teslin is asking if this folder is customized by you or by Avaz.
Okay, so this is what I'm showing you in this demo is the custom vocabulary of Avaz itself. It's the step-up vocabulary that we launched in the latest release. Yes, few words like Garrett's popcorn, which I showed you in the first sentence, were customized because I knew I was giving this webinar to you all. So I wanted to make it a little more contextual. So apart from that, all these words are already there in Avaz step-up.
So the contextual prediction folders, everything is already set up in Avaz Teslin, so that those are already there that you get out of the box.
While we're on navigation, can we go back? There was a question about where you found Italian for when you're doing the Italian beef.
Yes. Good question. So I have a linked folder called Eating Out in Food, where I'm talking about everything that is relevant. So I have the cuisines over here. So choosing a cuisine when I want to eat. So that's where I found Italian. And
Italian,
that helped me come back to where I was.
I'm assuming you're going to get into editing the folders in a bit.
Yes,
All right.
actually, I can even show you right away. So, for example, specific to the frozen row that we were just talking about. So, for example, if you are in any topic folder, so I'm going to probably, monster trucks. So, for example, if I'm in a folder like monster truck, or I've created a custom folder which is really interesting for my child, for example, the way that you can customize the frozen row. So here you will see that I have not set up a custom view for any of these folders because this is a topic folder. What you could do is within this, I can probably go to, again, actions, and then this actions would be specific to monster truck. So here I can try and choose the words that I want to have. So probably I'll have go, stop, come, ride, leave, stay, wait, just for example. So if I have these words, I can just hide the rest of them and then say that I want to apply these changes only here. So it means that once I have saved it and I'm in monster truck, the moment I go into the actions, these are the words that I see. The same can be done for any other folder which is available in the frozen row. So for example, if I want to say, looks, did you see that? Fast, slow, maybe extremely awesome, amazing, favorite, fun. So just for example, so I can even have size because monster truck is really huge. I can have speed, I can have quality, and I can just hide these and say only here. So what will happen is that I'll be able to see only these words available for me. So that's how easy it is to set up that frozen row, and you can change the type of words you want to see, and you'll be able to have that custom view for yourself. So even if it's a custom folder that you have added for your child or for your student, you'll be easily able to set this up, and it's not so complicated. Yeah, so this was about customizing the frozen row itself. We'll be talking about some other things before I go into customizing at the word level and stuff like that. So like I was saying, I think I was talking about vocabulary itself, where, sorry, I lost a little bit of, track of thought. But even when you talk about vocabulary itself, we've put in a lot of thought behind what is this vocabulary that we want to offer to the child, right? So it's not only that the vocabulary has to be robust, but it should also be able to express everything you have to express about something. So we wanted to have that, extent within each category itself. So though we have a lot of, so if you see actions, and so you'll see a whole, a page filled with actions. But even here, what we have tried to do is that have different ways in which we have categorized them, so that it helps the user scan much more easily. So just with the variation in the tone of that color itself, you're able to break that page visually. Above that, we have also grouped words which are more contextually relevant. So like here you can see that all the do related actions are in one row. You have all the go related actions in one row. You have all of the body related actions in one row. So there's another way of being able to more pragmatically arrive at what is the word that you're looking for. Additionally, it's not only the color differentiation, it's also visual separators that we have consciously used everywhere, so that it helps you perceive this page much more easily. And also the grouping itself, right? So here, if you see, I have a group of words that are talking more about pre-prep for a for cooking a meal. So it's more like grating, peeling, mashing, crushing, chopping and cutting. So again, you'll see that there are another group of words which are more about biting, chewing, spitting, and some other cook related words. But what we have also done is that this grouping will allow you to, even if you don't know where exactly this word is, you will have a tendency to look for it somewhere here. If you know that I'm at this point of this point of preparing the meal, then maybe here is where I have to look for a word like that. So that will add to that intuitiveness in locating a word. Additionally, we do have some folder settings that will help you arrange the same folder alphabetically, if that is what you prefer and if that is what the child would benefit out of. But if it is not alphabetic, we would want you to get an easier way to locate a word. And we have consciously done this everywhere. So even if you say describe, you will see that you have all the positive sort of descriptions on one end, and then you have all the negative descriptives on another end. And we've tried to use that balance, so that it's again very intuitive for the user to know that, okay, I'm looking for a word like maybe good or great, so it must be somewhere over here. While if I'm looking for something negative, then this is where it is. And that sort of flows in everywhere. So even if you see, for example, if you go to a folder like speed, you would see that I have all the fast, light speed, warp speed, zoomy sort of words over here. And at the same time, I have slow or, dead, and even things like inching along or dragging on the other side. So it gives you a sense of intuitiveness in locating these words. And also the sort of grouping of words allows me to have multiple word types itself. So here, though I'm talking about dragging or inching along, which are usually action words, I mean, technically should come under action words, but still it does talk about speed, right? But then that grouping allows me to have those different types of words within a folder. So again, going back to the point that a communicator should be able to communicate anything when they are in a topic of conversation. So we do have a lot of phrases coming in, questions coming in, and all of that to make that folder complete in itself. You would see the same even in our feelings folder. So here you will see that we have groupings ranging from, happy feeling, going to surprised, anxious, then going slowly to angry, and then going slowly to sad. So there's specific grouping that allows you to anticipate that. Then we have hard feelings on one side, sick feelings on one side, and stuff like that. So you start getting into that mode of overusage. You will start getting that tendency of where I will find an really angry word. So, and not only about organization and layout, it's also about the words that I offer. So not only that I want to give words like grumpy, mad, frustrated, I want to take it a notch above. So if I go inside the angry feelings, I have a lot more words for the user to communicate. And throughout our betas, when we had a few of the words that we got a lot of feedback about was the words parched or famished. And it was very surprising to see that SLPs were excited about words like that. It's also because a lot of times the communicators get the opportunity of exploring such different words for the same communication only if the vocabulary has that that sort of capability. So we were very specific that we start giving this offer this vocabulary even in all topics. So here you can see that you have words like hostile, pissed, violated, envy. And again, you have another group which is not really completely angry, but edging somewhere towards that feeling. So you have things like offended, insulted, resentful, and even things like disgusted. So that gives you that rich vocabulary or robust vocabulary that we are talking about. And you have the offer of words, and you have an easy way of locating that words. Now, when we talk about especially when we were doing the feelings folder, honestly, we at least whenever we talk to parents about why AAC, or what is it that they are expecting out of the AAC, often the first answer is, I want to know what my child is feeling. And feelings are extremely powerful and extremely important communication to just have that bond with the partner and between that partner and communicator itself. And we wanted to do our best there. So if parents wanted a way for their child to express, and often you will see that even autistic individuals not only struggle with identifying that feeling and not only naming but also identifying what that feeling is like. So we wanted to have some vocabulary even around that, so that they know what it is to feel angry. So when I'm angry, I feel hot, I clench my fist, my body feels tight, I grind my teeth. So these are sort of words that would help them with that. So again, going back to the point that everything that you want to say about this topic, right? Now, similarly, we also wanted to take that above and give a way for, people who are starting off with AAC about what is the other language that I can introduce to that child right now. So having a folder like self-regulation linked right here gives me another opportunity to explore this feeling a little more. So, okay, I'm angry or I'm pissed. Why am I angry? What can I do for me to regulate at this point? What is it that might help me? This can again become a great point of conversation between the partner and the communicator itself. So here you have things like, I'm feeling because I'm hungry, or too many questions, too much demand. At the same time, I'm also giving regulatory ideas like, I will breathe in and out, use my fidgets or play with my sensory toys. And here I should specifically appreciate that when Kate was looking at the self-regulation, Kate Ahern was looking at our self-regulation during the beta stages. She was like, not only what can the child do, but what can you do to help this child, right? So start offering words even for the partner itself, so that the child is able to tell what you can do for me when I'm feeling really angry. So you can give me some time, you can keep a calm face or voice. So that is the type of thought that we have put into every topic of conversation or every folder that we have added into the step up vocabulary itself. And you will see that again, like I said, because the linked folder can have different views, you can see that when I'm feeling sad, my regulation folder will look a little more different. It'll then talk about, something hurts, or I'm not sure, or I'm sick. And even the regulation options can be a little more different. So it's like, read a book or ask for a hug, talk to a friend, and stuff like that. The other thing is also that the vocabulary that we have added in Step Up is a lot to do with just advocating, the child being able to advocate for themselves, right? And that is very important for us because that is at the core of communication. The child should be able to relate to the AAC system. The child should be able to establish a level of trust with the AAC system and should feel that this is my personal system. And one of the things, just like how we have added self-regulation, if you go to Quick, and if you go, you will see the Quick is a whole range of phrases, quick phrases that you use in daily communication. We have a folder called Me, which we think is everything about the communicator themselves. So this is a corner where not only can they add their details, not only things that they like, dislike, but even words of advocacy, sentences of advocacy, like it's my life, I can do it myself, or even things like I'm not a baby, and don't touch my device, let me stim. So these are things that can make AAC really powerful for the communicator because it's words from their mouth, or it can be something that really connects to them and they find it very liberating, or things to advocate for themselves. Now, again, like we showed that we have self-regulation, we also have support systems. So what can be my supports? It can be related to sensory supports. It can be what are the things that I might need when I'm overstimulated, what are the things that I need when I'm understimulated, and stuff like that. So we have a whole range of topics over here. We have goals that they can set for themselves. What we have currently given is only like a base thing, but we want this to be completely customized for specific, for that communicator itself, and that is when it will really become powerful. You have words of affirmation or positive talk, and all of these things in the Me. Again, it's not only about having these words and also how you present these words, right? So we want the user or the communicator to feel that this is their own language. So even if you see topics, be it disability rights, or even if I go to stories, and even if I go to something like safe, unsafe touch, you will be able to see here that we're talking about I should trust my instincts, or I have the right to be safe. So again, coming more from the sense of what the user wants to communicate. And even the stories, we don't want the communicator to feel that these are things that they have to do, or this is how they have to behave in a certain way. And this is more about what they feel and what they want to communicate. So we've been very conscious about all the language that we have used and how it has to be specifically towards inclined towards the needs of the child itself, needs of the communicator itself. And you will see glimpses of this everywhere throughout the vocabulary, be it even the special interest folders. So we have something called the special interest, which again, currently you will see it's completely blank, but this is where we want that customization piece to come in. We want you to add what is your child's special interest, what is your student's special interest, because having that wherever they go can be extremely powerful, right? It can make a lot of difference in their experience itself. I'll just pause over here and see if anyone has any questions so far, because I think I've shown quite a lot of these features. Does anyone want to know something?
I would like to know if you can take the icons off the speech display bar.
Yes.
It's an editing thing. And then there's questions about creating profiles and being able to have multiple profiles on your apps that you can switch between. So as an SLP, Emily is supporting multiple clients, so we want to be able to switch between Joey and Susie's really quickly. So when we get to that section, if you can highlight that too.
Yeah, sure. So one thing that I would like to tell here is that Avaz is extremely customizable. All the settings are very intuitively placed, and you'll be able to set it up much more easily. So if you go to menu and if you go to settings, you will see all different types of things available for you. So for example, like the message box thing that you asked. So I'll go into the message box and then I can choose if I want pictures or I don't want pictures. Do I want the message box itself or not? Do I want the messages in the box to get cleared by itself every time I speak it out, and things like that. So it's very easy, and you can customize this based on your child itself. And similarly, you have things like this even for the picture grid. So for example, we have the side nav bar, right? So we have this specific side nav bar that you can see, which is constantly there on the screen. I can choose where it is, left, right. I can choose what goes inside that nav bar itself. So do I want things like alert, or do I want things like, I made a mistake, and things like that. So you can set it up very easily. And not only that, you can also set up what you want as the favorite itself. So we have something called as a favorite button over here. Alert and mistake are basically to get the attention when, like, in between a class or in between a noisy thing, you still don't know or need time to construct something, but then give that alert tone out so that you get the attention of the user. At the same time, we also have something called favorite button over here. So favorite is more of like, you can set it up to be anything. Right now, I've put favorite as response so that I have comments with me wherever I go, or that is what I really like to have with me. So favorites is respond for me, but you can easily do that. Even in settings, you can change that to be anything that you want. So you can choose another folder and then just set it up. So that's just to give you an idea how how you can customize the settings on your app, how you can change it. Again, you have things like text size, and do you want zoom or not? Now zoom is again another unique feature of Avaz. On tap, it enlarges, the word enlarges to the center of the screen. So again, within that zoom, what is the speed that I want? Even that can be set up. Similarly, you will have set up options for grammar. Where do you want that grammar? Do you want grammar or not? Do you want it underneath the message box, or do you want it on the grid as a pop-up? These are settings that you can easily figure out within Avaz. Now, when you specifically asked about backup and restore, you can create backups easily over here. So one is that not only can you link it to the cloud, once you've linked it, all your backups will get synced to the cloud so that you don't lose information. Additionally, for us to create even profiles, what we have is you can just create a backup and then name it based on the child's profile. So for example, if you have this for Joey, you can just say Joey and that gets saved. So you can see that Joey's profile is there. At the same time, for example, if you want to set it up for another child. So for example, if this child, you want a picture grid of maybe 60, and maybe they prefer themes that are more contrasting, or even things like have the message box have no pictures in the message box, just to give you an example. Now if I save this as another backup and save it across with the name of the child, so here I will say maybe Kate, and then say okay. Now you can see that you have Kate and you have Joey. So this is how you can have your multiple profiles for the students. And what's important is the moment I change the backup, my app settings will also get reflected. So then setting up the app is much more easier. So the backup not only saves the vocabulary, but also your preferences. What are your child's preferences? What is the picture screen size that they want, what is the theme that they would prefer, and everything. So if I now switch back to Joey, I'll just have to replace that, and then I have Joey with me. So that's how easy it is to create multiple backups and then sync it to the cloud. And then you can also share these backups. So if you go to backup, if say, for example, today I'm customizing Joey's, I can just click on that and then share it easily. I can airdrop it if I have that device near me. I can send it to Drive. I can email it to them, or any other system that I have. I can easily just share that with the parent or with that specific student's iPad. So that makes syncing those profiles also extremely easy. And even in terms of backing up to the cloud, we have Google Drive, we have Dropbox, we have iCloud. So that makes it much more easier for you to have your account linked here. Yeah, so that's about, backup and restore. So there's a bunch of other settings, but like I was saying, it's more, it's really intuitive for you to, go into the setting and see. And, we truly believe that every user is very unique. So they should have the ability to control everything. So even things like frozen row, if I don't want it, I can just go and then just switch it off, and then I don't have it. So that's how easy it is for me to set up something. Yeah, I hope I answered that question.
Keetna, there's another question. It's
Mhm.
which is so Brandis asked, are words in the system multiple times? Are words in the system multiple times? For example, there is a flip in the food page and there is flip in body actions as well, and they are into different places and they're multiple times. So Brandis asked that question about others.
Yes. So we do have words in multiple locations, but we have ensured that the position on the grid remains the same. So for example, just to give you an example, so you can see that on the home screen you have eat, right? But at the same time in actions, eat is an important action. So we still have eat on the same exact spot. Again, when I'm talking about a topic like cook and eat, again, eat is an important thing for me to talk about cooking or eating or chewing. So again, I have eat, but then we have ensured that the position of eat is exactly the same so that the motor plan doesn't get disturbed. It is also just to ensure not only the motor plan, but also to ensure that relevant words are available at different levels, so that wherever you are, you can always go and look for a word that you want, and you don't always have to go back home or go to another location to just select that, which makes it much more, like I said, again, it becomes intuitive. And for the communicator, it's easier because they always know where eat is. So the motor plan remains the same. Going specifically to the question of flip. So for example, I have flip over here. I'm not sure where flip is in actions, but I'll maybe realize this with you. So for example, if I go to body actions, can I see flip?
Flip is on next to cartwheel and so on.
Yeah. Again, I think what we have ensured is that the words that are more frequently used or our core words are definitely in the same location. Few words like flip, which can be contextually very different. So here you can see that flip has been located completely different, where I'm talking about somersault, cartwheel, and flip, whereas there it was more to do with cooking. So those are few, like you might find some words like that, but you can easily swap them if you think that it makes sense to have it in the same location.
Great, Keetna. I think that was answered. Thank you. Maybe you can kind of move on to showing some of the adding words and modifying the vocabulary itself.
Yes. So just going on to continuing to what I was saying previously about how the system has to be really authentic to be able to relate to the communicator, because often when that trust is not established or that relatability is not there, we end up seeing a lot of device abandonment itself. And another reason device abandonments can happen is also if the child does not feel, especially for early communicators, if they don't feel connected to the AAC system, if it's not exciting enough, if it's not something that they really enjoy looking or doing, then we always find that difficulty in using that AAC system for the child, and we end up saying that AAC didn't work for the student and stuff like that. So often it's also about making it really interesting for them. And some of the features that we have added within Avaz in the latest update is also to ensure that this interest is sustained, right? So for example, we had a student with us in teletherapy, and for a very long time he would not respond to his AAC. He was not interested in engaging with it or selecting something. And then we introduced the GIF for him, and we added this specific GIF of this
Hi.
right? So where you have this funny face and someone really, waving that. And what we started seeing was that this child really, really got excited with this GIF, and he actually started greeting people using his AAC only because he could get to, see that GIF. So he started greeting his neighbors, his therapists, his educators, and everywhere, because he found this really engaging. And that was a huge win for the parent, right? She was like, finally, my child is able to use AAC, because she was struggling for so long. So it's just these small things that can make a huge impact. So rather than just saying angry, if
I am
say
angry.
I'm angry like this, it makes a lot of difference in the way you perceive that anger also, right? So the GIF sort of helps that. And currently in Avaz, not only can you add that GIF from within the app. So for example, I'll just show you. So even if I go to I am angry and I go to change picture, one is that we have symbols for me to choose from. Then we have web images that I can, from the app, select things from off the web to choose. You can also choose a GIF from right here. So if I go to GIF, I get a range of different options, and I can select that. I can even choose the one that I like. So I say this, right? And I can easily set that up. We also have something called GIF loop count, which helps you decide how many times you want it to repeat. So it can be 2, it can be 1, based on how you would like that. And you can just save that. And
I am angry.
when you play, it plays and pop up. So that's how easy it is for you to customize GIFs. Talking about GIFs, which is a huge visual, reinforcement to whatever you're talking about, and very engaging for the kids because of the movement and the graphic that's showing. The second thing is also YouTube, right? So YouTube can make a huge difference for a lot of visual learners, and it adds that level of customization. So having the ability to just play a YouTube video. So for example, here,
This is an excited face.
so excited saying this, playing a YouTube video makes it much more interesting for the child to understand what that expression is, or how it looks and stuff like that. So the YouTube is again another feature that we have recently added. Another
When
thing
I am
is
happy.
that even when we want to program a YouTube video, it's very extremely simple for you to do. So let's take maybe you were like happy. And if I go, so this is our edit mode. So we have basic and advanced. So if I go to advanced and go to actions, I can choose to play a YouTube video. So one is that you already know what YouTube video you want to have. So you can directly paste that link over here. Or if you don't want, even from within the device, you can search for that video. So if you say, if you're happy, and if I click on search, it'll give me a range of options for me to choose from. So I can say that this is the one that I want, and it will pick that specific video. Now you have set start over here, set end. These are the buttons that will help you choose the timestamps, the specific section of the YouTube video that you want to play. So if I say set start, the timestamp will come here automatically.
And you know it, clap your hands.
And then I can say set end, and I will get that specific section over here. So that's how simple it is. I can tweak it if I think that I want it a little more, before or after. I can even
If
preview
you're
it,
happy and you know it, clap your hands. If
and then I can just save that. And I have a YouTube video.
if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands.
So that's how easy it is for you to, program a YouTube video on the icon or on the button. And I think especially with YouTube videos, trimming that videos, getting it from one device to the other, and having to do all of that is a lot of programming that we end up doing. So this sort of helps you cut down all of that and make that customization for the partner really easy.
Sorry, can I just interject? Do you have,
Yeah.
does the user have to be connected to the internet to play the video though?
Yes, for the YouTube, you will need the internet for it to play, because currently we are using the internet to fetch that detail. So there's nothing like, so that even if you have multiple YouTube videos, it will not slow down your system and make that experience much more smoother. So currently we are taking it off the cloud.
Okay. So that may be a challenge for some school-based kids. Just for everyone else.
Yeah.
But a great feature.
Thank you. Yeah, so I think YouTube was like we had to get YouTube because that makes it much more really interesting. Even if you talk about GLPs or gestural language processors, YouTube can be a great way for them to communicate, even to understand something. Even if it's a visual schedule that you want to show, having a video of a monster brushing the teeth is much more engaging for the child. So it brings in that level of interest and makes that much more engaging for the child and improves that experience itself. So we also have a folder called My Gestals, if you can see over here. It's again basically for all our communicators who are echolalic or are GLPs and want those scripts with them. That can be really handy for them. So for the purpose of demo, I have currently just added few of these. One second. Oh, sorry, 1 second. So just for the purpose of demo, I've added few of these gestures that my own daughter uses, just to show how those gestures can look like. But otherwise, in the step up vocabulary, this will be an empty page. Again, we think gestures are something that are really, really personal to that communicator. It has to be something that you add on, and we don't want to give any preset gestures because that is not what personal scripts can mean to that child. So so just for example, right, so one is for gestures, not only that you have that sort of visual feedback coming in, it's also about the intonation itself, right? So how do you bring that intonation? So not only do we have a combination of, you can have a GIF, you can upload an audio, or you can directly have a YouTube video play for you. Again, it's also about the tones. So having to play that gestalt along with the tone can be again very powerful, because it brings in that piece of intonation that can make a lot of difference to that GLP's experience itself. So for example, even if I say something like, what could it be? It sounds so plain, but if I add that question tone over there.
What could it be?
So it adds that intonation of making it sound like specifically, make it more sound.
What to choose.
And adds that layer of intonation and interest for that GLP. So these sort of help in making that experience really smooth, even for GLPs. And you also, again, having that in the frozen row helps you even have that custom view. So for example, if you go to food, and if I go to gestures, I can have only the eating related gestures come up for me. So I have something like yummy in my tummy, or what to choose and stuff like that. But at the same time, if I have a folder like transport and I go to gestalts, now I can talk about, to infinity and beyond, or even let's blast off to outer space and stuff like that. So it can again become very attuned to what you're talking about. So that again, that gestalt folder can be really filled with things, but then you can set up that layer of prediction so that it's more relevant to that child. The other thing is also about exploring that gestalt, right? So for example, if for a gestalt like when you feel so mad, which is very oftenly used Daniel Tiger episode, where he's exploring that emotion of anger itself, having the ability to explore a little more, what is this gestalt meaning? So not only can I have a different grid
When you
size for
feel
a specific
so
page
mad?
set. Sorry, it's speaking in a question tone. So not only can I break that gestalt down and give more clarity as to what it is, like
when you feel so mad that you wanna.
So here I'm exploring that anger, but then at the same time I'm also telling what I do when I'm angry, or how can I regulate myself, and even just take a deep breath and then count to 4. I can have numbers that help me count to that 4 and stuff like that. I can even have words that help me mitigate or mix and match. So I can talk about when you feel so mad, or when you feel so angry, or even go to the next level and say when you feel so sad. Now let's see what it is. So this sort of gives that flexibility. The page set differentiation also gives you the flexibility to explore that gestalt to the next level. So these are different ways you can set up that page to help GLP specifically when they are around maybe stage 2 or going towards stage 3. And even in different page set sizes, you would still see that the frozen row is the same 96 because we want that motor plan to be intact. These are words that we often use, so we want that to be the same. So only the space in between are the ones where you will choose that tile size. So again, that is a flexibility in the app, that you can choose a specific grid size for a page set or a specific folder. So maybe even if it's a worksheet that you want to do with the child, or have visual schedule or a visual table for an activity, that can make this much more easier for you to portray. So this is some things that you can do to make it really easy for the gestalts. And also, even when you talk about GLPs, you also see that they're very hyperlexic too. So you again have quick access to keyboard. So even if the gestalt, you can start typing these things that they want to write and stuff like that, and always switch back to pictures again. So that sort of improves the access to keyboard. And not only about GLPs, but just generally for people who are emergent in their literacy skills, and you want them to slowly transition to keyboard, having that quick access really helps them. Additionally, in the keyboard, we also have things like prediction. The other thing is that we have picture in our prediction too. So for example, even if you're starting off to type something like maybe cat, you will see that there's a picture of cat that sort of helps them in validating what they're typing and stuff like that. So we do have, again, like I said, our settings are very, very customizable. So even if I go to the keyboard settings, I can choose the type of layout I want, if I want to highlight vowels or not. I can choose what type of prediction I want. So do I want pictures or I don't want pictures? What if I'm getting distracted with these predictions? I can turn it off completely. What is the type of prediction I want? Should it be current word? Should it be next word? We also have something called phonetic match, which helps you to give a prediction even if that word is spelled phonetically. So for example, even if I type something called ocean, which is the wrong spelling, it would still predict ocean for me. So it helps all different types of learners that way. And that makes it much more so that you want to encourage them to keep going. So that prediction
Ocean.
can be really helpful for even children who are still learning the phonetic way of the spell part. So these are few of the things that you can do in the keyboards. For adults who are using the keyboard, you can also save these phrases. So even if you have something like
Yeah.
right,
Right.
and say you want to say it really sarcastically. And this is a comment that probably you want to use with the child, like, you know, you want to use it with different people. You can just save these phrases here. So you have the save button over here. You can choose what are the type of folders. We have some pre saved phrases, but you can even create your own folder for responses or something. So here I can probably say, yeah, I want to add it in comments, and then I add it over there. So that sort of helps you in, you know, saving quick phrases and not having to type again and again and keep it at your disposal. So all I'll have to do is go to favorites and then or choose something like no way and stuff like that. So that makes it much more easier for keyboard users to use the app.
No way.
Yeah, so now. So that is a bit about the keyboard. Again, few other things that we also have is about the low-tech board, right? So not only having the ability to customize these things really quick, but having the ability to quickly create a low-tech board for your classroom, or maybe to have it at your disposal so that even if your device is not available, you're quickly able to make this. So for example, even if I go to a folder like my feelings or something, and I go to tools, we have something called create an Avaz book. So what it will do is it will give you the exact same location of the words. It will just create a PDF, a low-tech version of the same thing, and that you can share it. So here you can see that I have that entire page with me. You even have page tags for words inside folders and stuff like that. I can easily save it or even share it. Again, you have all the options. You can airdrop it, save it on your device, mail it to someone and stuff like that, so that you can get it printed and then use it. So the low-tech board again can be a great benefit in the classroom and even at home for you to have a spare when your AAC is not probably not charged or anything like that. I think I'll take a pause and see if anyone has any specific questions so far.
I think we've answered the questions that have come up in the chat. The only other like programming question that we've gotten is about bilingual profiles and to show what a bilingual profile looks like.
Okay, so I'll just show you how our Vietnamese bilingual looks, because I have that set up on my system. We have Vietnamese, we have Bangla, we have Tamil, and few more Indian regional languages, and more coming up for bilingual. But this is the current Vietnamese pack that we are selling. So here you can see that this is the English vocabulary, and we have the Vietnamese available to you with a single tap.
Vietnamese.
So again, you have the same format so that it's much more easier for you to scan and then select words inside. And what we've also done is that
Go
here,
back.
even if you're talking about something, you're
Food.
inside food or maybe inside
Fruits.
fruits or whatever, you can program your favorite button to be Vietnamese folder itself. So with a single tap,
Favorite.
you can directly land on the Vietnamese page so that you don't have to keep going back to the home and select that folder. So that's how you program the bilingual folder to be a single tap away. And Narayan, is there something that you would like to add?
Yeah, I think I want to just highlight a couple of things. One is that this quick access between these two languages, right? So if you go to home, whenever you tap on home, you'll get the
Home.
English homepage, and then favorites would take you to the Vietnamese
Favorite.
folder. The other thing I wanted to highlight was that Keetna, if you can just create like a sentence, say I want, and then maybe some food item in Vietnamese. The way we have set it up is that we worked with a partner in Vietnam. So these are kind of like completely like contextualized vocabulary, as well as like authentic Vietnamese audio recording. So what you're listening right now is actual video recordings, audio recordings of the language. So this way, now if you add an English word as well, Keetna, if you add an English word,
Home.
you would see that it kind of speaks it all
I.
together. So this is completely wrong. It's like
Want.
doesn't make any sense as a sentence. So forgive me
Sorry
if you
about that.
but we just wanted to show you if you play this out, if we
Tôi
speak this out.
muốn giữa
I want.
So it speaks English and Vietnamese fully. So I can say in Vietnamese or in maybe in some other language, I would say, like I would say in at home, I would say I want chapati or I want something which is kind of much more colloquial. So you would mix and match as bilingual speakers. So that is something possible, and it's only possible because you have those audio recordings for individual words. So there are about 2,500 audio recordings that you get with the Vietnamese vocabulary. We have it for a boy voice, we have it for a girl's voice, we have an adult male and a female voice as well. So the only catch is that now if you want to add words to the Vietnamese vocabulary, you might have to record those voices because else if you depend on the text to speech, it will it doesn't do a great job of it won't be able to do this entire code switching. So so I think just to kind of answer Kara's question here is that if they aren't audio recordings, you'll have to set to one particular language. So you can do it wherein if you set the language to like the text to speech language to Vietnamese, but then it would speak all the English in a Vietnamese accent. So that's kind of like the balance there. So we've taken the trade-off of wherein we'll give you authentic good quality recorded voices, might be just a bit limiting. But if you have a bilingual Vietnamese AAC user, there's a good chance you'll be able to record Vietnamese audio as well. So that's the kind of like the trade-off that we took. So that's kind of like the two things I wanted to highlight. There is a request, there's a comment here. If you're taking requests, we need a thing for Tagalog as well. So I'll make a note of that, Brandes, for sure. And
Teslin also wanted to know if there was an Indian English kid's voice available.
so we have no, we don't have an Indian English kid's voice is not yet available. So that's not yet available, but that is something that we are trying to work with a couple of these speech text to speech providers. So yes, definitely we'll keep you posted on that.
And then I was wondering if the same vocabulary sizes that you were just showing are available, or if the bilingual have different
Yeah.
vocabulary options and size
Yeah.
options.
So currently the vocabulary sizes for the bilingual we're currently offering the 40 grid size of 40. That's a current constraint, but we are working towards that. So maybe it'll take us some time to kind of like expand it out for the rest of the vocabulary larger sizes. But right now it starts off with a fairly robust 40 grid size.
Those were all the questions that I had seen. Did anyone else have any questions, or Kurtna, did you have more that you wanted to chat about? Because I think we have a few minutes left of what I had in my head, or we can end. I will add again in the chat that we shared earlier the email address that if you're interested in a demo or a evaluation copy of the app, what email to email.
Yes, and I'm also so I'm sharing a sort of like a cheat sheet which has some of that information and um uh, even a QR code to get like that evaluation to kind of sign up for that evaluation trial as well. So I'll just share that cheat sheet for because people were also asking about any specific ones for adding or customization. So just adding that in here.
So there was a question on updates for the Android version as well, and then people were asking if it was recorded. So just as a housekeeping thing, how the recording will be shared with the people who have registered.
Yes, so we'll send out an email with the recording link. So it is being recorded. I did turn on the recording button, and there was one entire session that I did forgot about. So, I make that I didn't make that mistake this time. So we'll send out an email and you'll have the link to the recording. We'll also try and see if we can make this like a public link as well. So that's something that we want to do as well. Um, the other question was about Android updates. So we expect the Android updates to roll out by mid-Feb, right, Kitna?
Yes,
I hope I'm not committing to
it's
something
almost
like
towards.
my
We have
engineers are like,
almost
"Ah, we
reached
didn't
to
commit Feb." So yeah, so mid-Feb is when we are planning to roll the Android updates out. Hopefully, Google has this review process like Apple, so so that might take some time, but we're optimistic about mid-Feb, and it would again wanted to highlight that it's kind of like something. So with cross compatibility, you will be able to use the same kind of like the vocabulary on an Android device, on an iPad. It will just kind of like work pretty much seamlessly in that sense. And hopefully soon we'll have it on Windows as well. So that would be kind of like the third platform where it should be working seamlessly. Uh, Teslin, will the recording link be shared? Uh, uh, we'll send you an email with kind of like we'll send you an email with the details, and if you're able to put it out on like a YouTube link or something, then you'll be able to share it in the on WhatsApp groups. So I think that should be possible.
Another thing that I just want to show is that I wanted to mention is that what I've shown is like the tip of all the features that are there. There's still a lot more settings and things that you can do before you start off, like touch accommodations and other accessibility or other settings that can be really helpful when you're starting off with a child. So what we also recommend is if you have a group of SLPs or a group of students that you're dealing with, you can always email to us. We can have a separate call where we can train the people or teach you how to use the app and set it up for you so that it's easy. Otherwise, we have constantly received the feedback that Avaz is very intuitive in its interface and that people are able to customize it really quickly, but assuring that we will be giving you any support that is required for you to start using Avaz with any of your students. We will always be available to you. So that is again something that I really wanted to put out by saying that there are many more features out there.
Yeah, and again, if you want us to do like a similar session with with your team, we'd be happy to do that as well. Just drop us a note on the email address. And one thing I just wanted to kind of highlight, Keitna, can you go to the topics folder? I just wanted to kind of highlight. Um, so one of the things was that I in one of our like the previous version of the vocabulary, we had really limited topics that we had kind of put out, and this time we had a much more wider variety of topics, and some of these were um, kind of created in collaboration with a prototype that we built out of just we were building this prototype of using uh, almost like a just-in-time customization. So you give it a context. So like monster truck rallies, for example, what Keitna was showing was created almost with the aid of our kind of like an AI-based tool that we are building internally, right? So which would help us like, oh, I have this 10-year-old kid who's really into like a very specific special interest thing, and then it generates this entire vocabulary for you. So we've started using some of those internally, and you'll see that that's kind of led to the kind of like the kind of like a rich variety in the topics folder, and we are also hoping that we figure out a way to kind of like ship that out for customers as well. So that's something I just wanted to highlight. Um,
And there was a question about switch access. Is it possible?
uh, Yes. So to Rashmi, to answer your question, switch access is possible. So we are currently relying on the iOS or the Android's the kind of like the inbuilt switch capabilities. We have so one is we have touch accommodations within the app, which you can set it up for the way you want to set up the touch in terms of and the sensitivity there, or ignoring repeats. So that's one option. But the second option for especially for switch, you would have to connect it with the iPad's um, the iPad's accessibility settings and then program it. So, and it should work out of the box because we kind of follow those Apple and Android accessibility guidelines.
A.
Looks like we are at time and kind of wrapping up. Thank you, everyone, for attending and sticking with us. And thank you both for sharing your knowledge and updates on the update for the iOS system. It's been really helpful. I've learned a bunch. Hopefully, everyone else has too. And I'm really excited to have another really, truly robust language system to consider.
Thank you so much, everyone, for this session, and thank you, Heidi, for hosting us. We really enjoyed kind of answering and going through all these questions as well. And again, do reach out to us, and if you have any feedback is welcome. We really we want to kind of like, we're really interested in solving the problem. So if it's okay if you tell us this is something that doesn't work with ours, this works with ours, we love to hear anything and everything that you think about how we are building this product as well. And because a lot of this is a big problem to solve, and so the only way we can go about this is by collaborating and kind of like putting our heads together. So please do reach out to us. We'd love to hear more from you. Thank you so much for being a very patient audience. Yes, I just wanted to highlight, Rachel, I think we can connect after this. I'll kind of connect with you on this. If you can, I'll probably drop you an email right after this, and maybe we can just have a quick call as well. All right, so I will stop recording.